have been working on editing my latest video for way too long this morning. I'm still just learning, and I kind of figured out a couple of issues that I've had so far. But anyways, I thought I would take a little bit of a break. I have a bunch of packages that came in, and by packages I mean humongous boxes of yarn, plus a couple of other super fun things that I'm excited to add to the shop to unbox. So I thought I'd unbox them with you. Welcome to my yarn room. I haven't really done any videos in here yet, so welcome. I call this the Instagram side because it looks pretty nice. The other side, or really just the rest of the space, is kind of a disaster, but that is part of my plan for the summer, is to actually build out my yarn room into more of a studio with a desk and a place that I can work from. But for now, I just use it for yarn storage, storing all of my packaging materials, and I do all of my packaging in this room too. But today I have a huge box, or a couple boxes of yarn to unbox. I order all of my yarn wholesale, and actually I live in this rural community 3 hours northwest of Denver, so basically there's no local yarn store, and everything I get is I have to order online. But I basically have about $6,000 worth of yarn to unbox today, and then a couple other It is like Yarn Mountain over here, but this is all yarn from a company called Malabrigo Yarn, and I love this company. They're based in Peru, and it's a small family-run business where they have their own sheep, so they actually use ethical and sustainable practices for raising their sheep, and all of the dyes that they use are chemical and acid-free, which is better for the environment. And then all of the yarns are made with merino wool, and the merino is super soft. The fibers are much shorter than regular wool, so it just feels softer to the touch on your skin. And all of their yarn is hand dyed in small batches, so every skein is unique, so all of the hats end up being really different too, which can be a challenge sometimes, because when I have photos on the website, it might not be the exact color, but I try to match it as close as possible. But from batch to batch, the yarn is different, which makes it really cool. So I actually got a couple of new yarns to play with as well. There's this one called Caracol, which they haven't had in stock in years, so I was excited to buy some. But this, I don't know if you can see, it's kind of like got this thick, thin sort of texture to it, and it's wrapped in this string, so I don't know, it just gives it a really cool look. I only got a few of these, so I might just play around and do some special edition beanies or something. And then I also finally got some mohair for the first time. I've actually never knit with mohair before. Is it focusing? I don't know. Do I look like a YouTuber now? But I got some mohair because I've been wanting to make a sweater for myself, and I thought it would be really cool to have a fuzzy, like, cozy sweater. So we'll see what I do with that. And then I'm not usually a blue person, so if you've noticed in my shop, I never really have anything that's blue. But I got this really pretty new to me color called Azules. There is a local nonprofit organization called Friends of the Yampa, and they basically provide resources and education about conserving water and river conservation and stuff like that. And they have this art show, I guess, with Yampa inspired works, and I happen to have a pattern called the Yampa beanie, so I thought I would submit a project. I don't know if I'll get accepted or not, but this is the color I want to use for it, so there's that. But other than that, I basically got all of my main favorite colors. I stocked up because a lot of the time during the busy season, the yarns will sell out even from the wholesaler site, and so it's really hard to get your hands on them, and I want to have enough to prepare over the summer so that I actually can have a decent amount of stock going into my season. The last couple seasons, I went into September with about 150 beanies already made, and the last couple of years it just hasn't been enough, so I'm hoping that I can have double that this year going into September. And then of course I just knit a lot more in the winter because it's cozy and it's the busy time, and in the summer I just want to be able to play a little bit too. But I'll show you some of the colors that have been really popular for me. This one is really awesome. It's called Molino, and it's basically like a neutral with a bunch of really cool rainbow speckles on it. And then this one is called Draco, and I just love the golden flecks in it with the teals. It's super, super pretty. This one is called Piedras, and on my website I actually call it Nymph. It just reminds me of this cool, like, earthy rainbow. It's probably my absolute favorite color, and it's very popular. It's probably my most popular color on the website. And then this one, they call it Diana. I call it Fairy on the website, and this one has the most variability to it, but it's basically like a really bright rainbow, like kaleidoscope of color, which is really cool. And then this one is called Marte, and on my website I call it Phoenix because it kind of reminds me of like a fiery mythical beast, and it's just super pretty with like the reds and the oranges and some purples and blues in it. So it's super fun. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the materials that I use for Sweeny Beanie Knits. I basically use yarn from 3 companies for all of my products. I use the Malabrigo, which is all of the yarn I just showed you here. And then I also use yarn from Wool and the Gang and We Are Knitters. And both of those yarns are basically a single ply Peruvian wool, so it's not merino, it's a regular wool, but it's really soft, and those companies are also focused on ethical and sustainable wool. If you have any questions about the yarn that I use, I try to list everything in the description, and I'll say a little bit more about it in the future. Maybe I'll do like a material specific episode, but I'm excited to show you some of these next things. So full disclosure, I just put all the yarn back in the box because I literally don't have enough shelf space for all of the yarn for the season. So I'm gonna work on getting more shelving this summer, and then also just keep everything in a box and knit through it and store the beanies once they're finished. So it's kind of like this cycle of just not having enough storage space. So we are in April, and from April to September, I basically use my off season to prepare new knit items for the following season and to just get stocked up on inventory. But starting last summer, I started trying to incorporate some items that I think you would really love, and these are all things that kind of have an outdoorsy vibe to them, or I thought would be a great addition to the shop. So I just got another shipment in from Field Notes, and Field Notes are these really cute little notebooks. Here, I'll show you some of the ones I have. They're really small little notebooks, and they're just so useful for all of the different things. I use them for everything. I have one for like new pattern ideas. I have one for like my journaling and stuff like that. And I have all of the National Parks Edition notebooks, and so when you purchase the National Parks Edition notebooks from Field Notes, they donate 5% to the National Park Foundation, and then I, as a 1% for the Planet Business, when you buy them from me, I donate 1% of the sale to the National Park Foundation and Protect Our Winters. So it's all a little bit in the spirit of giving back, but I just got a new to me set. They all come in a set of 3, so let's open these. Ooh, okay. Awesome. Ooh, look at these. So I had stocked, they call it Series B and C. Series B features the Grand Tetons, Joshua Tree, and Mount Rainier. I don't know if you can see the images below, or there we go. But those are the covers of those. And then Series C features Rocky Mountain, Great Smoky Mountain, and Yellowstone. And let's see, so those are the covers for those. And then I just got in a new to me set. This is Series E that features Denali, Cuyahoga, and Olympic. And look at how pretty those are. I actually just went to Olympic National Park last fall for the first time, and it was so gorgeous. And then if you didn't know, my husband and I, after college, we both worked in Yellowstone National Park for a couple of seasons. We spent 2 summer seasons there, and they were like the best summers ever. We both worked in one of the restaurants there. I worked as a line cook and he worked as a server, and then in our off days, or like time off in the mornings, we can just go explore the park. Like there's and this was like over 10 years ago, so the internet there was super bad. We didn't even have smartphones back then, and so all of your time off was spent just hiking and backpacking. We hiked, I think, over 300 miles one of those summers and just really got to know the park, and it was just the most amazing experience. So that's, you know, the parks just have a special place in my heart, and they are really amazing places, so I strive to save them and preserve them for future generations as well. This next box is something I am super excited about. It is something that's been in the works for a couple of months now, but if you've been around for a while, you'll know that last summer I had these cozy cabin totes in my shop. These were hand screen printed by Ohana, which is the local shop that I sell my hats at. But the artists, or the owners, are both artists themselves, and so they do all of their art on screen printed apparel and home goods and stuff like that. But this tote is just my favorite tote ever. I use it so much. This particular one I use as my yarn bag, but they're super sturdy and they're made with a really thick cotton canvas. And then the bottom actually expands a little bit, so you can fit quite a bit in these things. But this year, I worked with Emily, one of the owners, to design a custom tote for Smeeny Meeny Knits. And so we've been working on this design for a little bit, and the totes are finally here. So I'm gonna open them and these turned out so good. Okay, are you ready? Look at that. So I got them on the olive green. Oh my god, I love how they turned out. But this little scene, it's got the mountains, it's got the moon, cabins, trees, and she even put little mushrooms in there. I don't know if you can see those. And then Stay Wild Squad. My battery died. But yeah, so I was talking about the Stay Wild Squad, and it's all of you and the people who have been around and supporting my business, and some of these friends are people that I've actually gotten to meet in person or will be meeting in person later this year. So thank you so much for just being a part of this community. But some other things that I am going to be bringing into the shop, one of them will be a trucker hat for the summer. There's a hat that I wear all the time and everyone's always like, I love your hat. And so Emily said that I can print my custom design onto the hats, so they actually hand screen print them. So I'll be getting those pretty soon too, so I can't wait to show you those. And then I've been brainstorming other items that I want to bring into the shop. I don't want to take in a whole bunch of inventory, but this is all stuff that like I myself either love to use or items that I think would make sense and like, you know, continue on the outdoorsy vibes. So let me know in the comments if there are items that you'd be really excited about. Some of my ideas are like a custom bandana design. I use bandanas all the time in the summertime. And then also like a insulated camping mug or something like that. But I haven't really done one of these types of videos yet, so it's kind of funny just sitting here talking to you for super long. But anyway, thank you for watching, and like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you next time.